our conversation about race and police reform continues. Here again, Janine Davis.
And welcome back. We are beginning to, okay, I see you guys are warming up a little bit. I can see. And so, Chief, you were talking and answering Righteous's question about defunding police.
Yeah, so,
carry on.
You know, I think we have to have a good understanding of what it means when someone says defund the police. You also have to look at the fact that about 84% of our funding goes to personnel to pay the salaries and everything. But my stance on that is I truly believe there are things that police officers are asked to do and put in place that we don't necessarily, it's not really our role to do or we shouldn't do, but we feel like it's a part of the service to our community. But I mentioned earlier today in another conversation that if you're looking to defund in a sense of programs and things that we do maybe should belong to another agency or a private agency or something, you know, as long as I can be assured that those programs, the integrity of them are going to be upheld the way we uphold them and they're going to be successful, then I have no problem with that. You know, however, if I feel like that program's not going to be in good, responsible hands to continue on, then I would fight that all day when you talk about defunding the police. So
Right.
I think that's important to kind of understand what exactly does that mean.
So they can call you and talk to you about programs?
Yes, absolutely.
I put you on the spot, right?
Yeah.
So listen, well, thank you for that. I want to move on to racism. I think we all can acknowledge that racism exists in our
100%.
country, right? And so and hearing the cases, of course, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many others, how has it changed you, this whole movement? How has it changed your behavior? How has it changed your attitude in terms of racism? How has it changed you? And that's for everybody. So anybody who wants to go first, you're open.
So in my opinion, black people have just been silenced. And to me, I feel like I've just learned to kind of put it behind me and say, oh, this is the way it is. This is the way it's going to be. But seeing this movement has kind of given me hope. Seeing so many people behind us and you know, everyone's looking for change and to move forward and to move past it. So I'm kind of seeing the glass half full. I usually see it half full anyways, but I've just kind of learned to see it truly half full in terms of racism and growth and progression.
Right. That's sunny. That's a sunny perspective. But I bet Justin will challenge you on that. Would you? Do you see it as we're in a better place? How has it changed you? And I remember hearing in one of the packages you even say that you're not the same person that you were before this whole movement started.
And I never will be again, that's for sure. You know, this whole thing, it made me reflect on my entire life to address my racial bias, racist behavior as any white person who lives has experienced in their life. Whether that be how you're brought up or just how you're taught, it exists in everybody. And it's disgusting when you look back on it. And, you know, what I've absolutely learned the most from this, even though I stay pretty vocal because I'm in the media, is the media's role is the third most important role in this entire movement, followed by our elected officials and our community organizers and leaders. And it's our job to sit and shut up and listen and narrate exactly what's happening. And so I've been out here listening to everybody's stories and making friends with all these people I would have never met if this movement never happened. And, you know, sometimes I get a little too close to the subject because I'm out there trying to do my job, but I have so much love for everybody out there. And I was talking to my friend DeMarco, who described to me how he had never had a white friend before in his entire life just because of the upbringing and where he lived, and that you know, that dude's like one of my best friends now. I love him to death, but it's crazy how it's opened my eyes to where now I've got an entire bookshelf full of racial disparity and criminal justice system books that I'm trying to read and educate myself on so that I can help other people understand that we need to use our privilege to amplify the voices of everybody that needs to be heard, because like what you said, it's been silenced forever, and it needs to stop now.
Wow. Nice. Anybody else want to comment on how your behavior, maybe your attitude has changed?
I think
since the
from my
movement?
perspective, growing up, I was tired of being silenced. And I felt like sometimes people would speak, but they weren't speaking to the issues and saying what really needed to be said for whatever reason. And that's what made me get out and really organize. And like Justin said, you know, when you're out there organizing, you meet people that you probably would never meet before. You know, having that protest that I had through Myers Park and, you know, Dilworth, there were people who had never protested in their life before. There were white people that came out their homes that initially called me because they were afraid, and then came out and thanked me for having the protests in their neighborhood. They came out with their kids. They came out and brought us drinks. They came out and joined us with signs. And that really not only gave me hope, but gave me motivation, because I felt like you were doing what you were meant to do. And that's bringing people together so we can fight together for the betterment of everybody.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't even be about race.
I think that there is an aura about this time that makes it feel different, feel like we are actually going to accomplish something by the time that these protests have died down, to the point where we won't need to be protesting anymore. We can go on to simpler issues. But at the moment, we have never had it to where, you know, I can walk down the street and feel safe if there is, I feel safe if there is an officer. There has never been a time where a black person has been pulled over and felt, okay, this will go well. Like, we want to be able to progress, and I think that this is going to be a chance, hopefully, for all of us to actually make some kind of change. And that goes for our elected officials, because we're starting to realize who was on our side and who was not. There are a lot of elected officials from our city council and beyond, our state legislature and our state legislature and a lot of places, and we just have to realize that we can, that the people who aren't really on our side
Yeah.
need to go. They need to get out.
They make
because
themselves known.
That's right.
we need change, and we need it now. And if we're not going to get it, things can get a lot worse.
Yeah.
We have to understand that what we want defunding the police, that is an appeasement that is simple. There are people who want to abolish the police. There are people who don't want the police to exist anymore, and they'll figure it out on their own after the fact.
Right.
Reallocating is a simple solution to a problem that has been here for too long.
Do you feel like the message of Black Lives Matter movement has been marred, especially after the incident off of Beatties Ford Road? Now, you see that we're marching and protesting and rallying all for the Black Lives Do Matter, but does it? When you see things like what happened at Beatties Ford Road, where you had, I think it's 4 people who passed away now, and you see all the injuries, and I had to really think, well, do we believe Black Lives Matter? And when I say we, I mean black people. Do black people believe Black Lives Matter after you see something like that? What are your thoughts?
First of all, I think we don't know who orchestrated that. We don't know who started it. We don't know who fired. So for us to just jump to the conclusion automatically that it's someone black, I think kind of shows what the issues are, that there's a problem, that we automatically go to that. The other thing is, you know, every time you talk about police accountability or a police shooting, people always want to go to black on black crime. You know, it's black on black crime. Well, there's white on white crime. There's all types of crimes. Black crime, when it's black on black crime, the spotlight is always on it. The media always runs with it. The other thing is, if we're going to talk about black on black crime, let's talk about why there's black on black crime. What are the reasons why there's black on black crime? Because right now, I guarantee if we took all the white people out of the most affluent area in Charlotte and we dropped them on Beatties Ford Road and we took that whole community and put it in Ballantyne, after a couple of weeks, those white people would be killing one another. And so it's not about race, it's about the conditions and the circumstances that our people are forced to live in. So, you know, when I hear that, you know, it does upset me. It upsets me because I've been on Beatties Ford a number of times, you know, reached out to the community. We walked through and did a unity walk after that happened. People are hurt. people are devastated. People are traumatized, and automatically everyone's blaming someone off Beatties Ford Road. The people who are out there, they don't even know who did it. And to think that, you know, we've had notices about the Ku Klux Klan being in town, we've had notices, we've had, you know, other provocateurs, we've had all types of groups in the city. It's not hard to believe that one of those groups came on Beatties Ford Road and orchestrated that. I mean, there was over 100 and some rounds dropped on Beatties Ford Road. So I think we need to really look at that and really think about it a little bit deeper than automatically saying, oh, it's black on black crime. Because a lot of people want to stop this movement, and they're going to do a lot to actually do that.
And distract.
Exactly. So we have to stay focused and keep our eyes on the prize and support our community.
What do you feel like the media's responsibility is in all of this, Justin?
Well, I knew that it was important to, you know, I own my company with my business partner. We're an independent newspaper. I have the ability to do whatever I want. And what I wanted to do was be there for every second of it, live streaming it, because we use words like narrative. Anybody getting sound bites, small recordings, spokesperson, or anybody like that can make whatever narrative they want. But if you have a video of every second of something that happened, you can't argue that. You just can't do that. And that's at least where I saw that my role was important. But like I said before, I think the media just needs to listen. Every time that I'm out there, I try and have a conversation with somebody to get, it's, you know, it's for my own personal benefit, for their benefit, and for my viewers' benefit, to just listen to their story. I don't need to tell somebody's story if I can just let them tell it from start to finish and use their voice, so that I don't smudge anything, so that I don't mess anything up, so that I don't misrepresent them in any way, because they've already been misrepresented for so long. So I think the number one thing is just making sure that that representation is long and accurate.
Well, that's a nice place to stop. We've wrapped up this segment. We're going to come back with your final thoughts and any ideas on how we can begin to fix this.